उच्चड़ी उड़ान भरी ले खीसे च सामान भरी ले उच्चड़ी उड़ान भरी ले खीसे च सामान भरी ले जे कर शौक तुगी फही कैदी रोक तुगी मुट्ठी अरमान भरी ले उच्चड़ी उड़ान भरी ले खीसे च सामान भरी ले सफर लमेरा सही रस्ते च नेरा सही सफर लमेरा सही रस्ते च नेरा सही मनो च तरान भरी ले उच्चड़ी उड़ान भरी ले खीसे च सामान
Professor Umesh Rai, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Jammu, Professor Anju Basri, Dean Academic Affairs and Dean Research Studies, Dr. Rajendra Singh Pawar, Chairman and Co-founder of NIIT Limited, Major General Vikram Dogra, AVSM, Shri Gurtar Singh Jambal, Chairman Kunwar Viyogi Trust, members of the trust, faculty members, scholars, students, awardees of the scholarship, their parents, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. Jammu University ਦੇ ਡੋਗਰੀ ਤੇ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਵਿਭਾਗ ਤੇ ਕੁੰਵਰ ਵਿਯੋਗੀ ਟਰਸਟ ਦੇ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਨੇ ਚੌਥੇ ਕੁੰਵਰ ਵਿਯੋਗੀ ਸਮਾਰਟ ਵਿਖਿਆਨ ਚ ਮੈਂ ਤੁੰਦਾ ਸਭ ਦੇ ਦਾ ਨਿੱਘਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ।
This success mantra of digital age, and very relevant topic, and I'm happy that the Pawar Sahab is going to deliver lecture on that, and Pawar Sahab, Jammu University is open for that.
आज के इस लेक्चर सीरीज के पहले प्रवक्ता को आमंत्रण देना चाहूंगी श्री राजेंद्र एस पवार NIIT लिमिटेड के अध्यक्ष और सह संस्थापक हैं, जो कुशल और प्रतिभा विकास में एक वैश्विक नेता हैं और NIIT विश्वविद्यालय के संस्थापक भी हैं। श्री पवार ने NIIT को एक अग्रणी वैश्विक प्रतिभा विकास निगम के रूप में विकसित करने और सीखने की पेशकश करने में नेतृत्वकारी भूमिका निभाई है। व्यक्तियों, उद्यमियों और संस्थानों के लिए समाधान भी नियुक्त किए हैं। उनके नेतृत्व में NIIT ने भारतीय IT क्षेत्र की गति को बढ़ाने के लिए कुशल जनशक्ति तैयार की है और इसके विकास को आकार देने में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका भी निभाई है। 30 से अधिक देशों में उपस्थिति के साथ कंपनी ने पिछले 40 वर्षों में 38 मिलियन से अधिक शिक्षार्थियों को प्रभावित किया है। श्री पवार प्रधानमंत्री वाजपेयी के राष्ट्रीय कार्यबल 1998 का हिस्सा रहे हैं, जिसे भारत को एक IT महाशक्ति के रूप में विकसित करने के लिए नियुक्त किया गया था और उन्होंने प्रधानमंत्री मनमोहन सिंह की राष्ट्रीय कौशल विकास परिषद 2009-2014 में सदस्य के रूप में भी काम किया है। वह नेस्कॉम साइबर सुरक्षा टास्क फोर्स के अध्यक्ष भी हैं, जिसे भारत को साइबर सुरक्षा उत्पादों और सेवाओं के वैश्विक केंद्र के रूप में उभरने के प्रधानमंत्री माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी के दृष्टिकोण के जवाब में स्थापित किया गया है। इनकी अनेकों उपलब्धियों में से एक भारत के प्रमुख वाणिज्य मंडलों में सक्रिय रूप से शामिल होना भी है। श्री पवार ने 2011-12 में इसके अध्यक्ष के रूप में नेस्कॉम सहित कई ICT उद्योग मंचों का नेतृत्व भी किया है। भारत में IT उद्योग में श्री पवार के योगदान को स्वीकार करते हुए उन्हें 2011 में भारत के राष्ट्रपति द्वारा देश के प्रतिष्ठित नागरिक सम्मान पद्म भूषण से सम्मानित किया गया है। आज के इस लेक्चर सेशन में वे सक्सेस मंत्रा फॉर डिजिटल एज पर अपने विचार व्यक्त करने जा रहे हैं। डॉक्टर राजेंद्र सिंह पवार।
बोलना थी नहीं तेरी डोगरी सही है थोड़ी बड़ी डोगरी बड़ी टूटी होती है पर एक कोशिश जरूर करना कि एटलीस्ट कुछ वर्सेस आगे थोड़ी ज्यादा अच्छी डोगरी कुछ बोलना। To start with, I want to express my gratitude to Punamji for getting in touch and asking me to talk on a subject which has to summarize my 42 years of NIIT experience in 30 minutes. But I also take this opportunity to thank Professor Rai. I had heard about him from a very close friend of mine, Professor Dinesh Singh, who is one of the founding professors of our university and a very good friend from a long time. And so I was keen to meet him, and this has been as good as an opportunity. And perhaps to pay my respect before I start to General Jamal, my father's very close friend and compatriot, who today takes the place of my father in all the occasions and important moments in my life. So I'm delighted that you're here this afternoon. So there are two subjects here. There is digital age and there is success. I'm sure the students here are only interested in the success one. Is that correct? Yes or no? So you've been patient for the last more than 2 hours now, so I want to appreciate you for your patience and to say that I will not go beyond the 30 minutes that I have. But I do want to touch on the digital age briefly, because whatever you are doing in your life and whatever you will be doing in your life, there will be an impact of the digital age in what you do and how you do it. I don't have enough time to explain all of that, but I'll go to the essence of what the digital age means so that when you think about your success, you keep that in mind. So a few words on digital age. All of us know that before this age there was the industrial era, as we call it, the era of machines, the era of factories, the era of production. And even before that, there was the agricultural or agrarian era, when humans worked on the farms, most of them. And all preoccupation was about growing from one food season to the other, creating enough food for humans to survive. So from agrarian to industrial to what we often call as the knowledge era, in which digital becomes important. So what has changed in these three eras? Why is this age different? So in the agrarian era, we were all busy as humans, digging the ground, sowing some seeds, watering it, getting the produce and keeping ourselves alive. So the preoccupation was with land and labor. And then when the scientific revolution happened and the industrial era started, then the activity moved to the factory. The factory was a space where jobs were moving. And what did we do in the factories? We took raw materials, whether we took iron ore, or we took raw oil, or we took synthetic materials, put them through the machines and made a finished product. So raw material, machine, finished product. The machine became the center of attraction, much like the land was in the agrarian time. And the machine then had to be made in such a way that it's very efficient. That you can take iron ore, millions of tons of it, and produce a few tons of the finished materials. Or you take plastics and you make finished products out of it. You take steel and make utensils out of it. Simple products to start with, and then more and more sophisticated products. So in the industrial era, the machine came in the center. And the human beings were basically operating the machines. But the focus was on the machine. And the development was of the machine. And in that era, intelligent people were being told to make better and better machines, which would take less and less people to run the machines. So you start observing how in the man-machine equation, human is gradually being pushed out. And that has had huge consequences of job losses and so on. And then around 1950, and I remember that date because my year of birth is 1951, so I say that 1950 or 51 is when the genesis of the digital age begins. And it begins with a very simple understanding of physics, that all materials are either conductors, they conduct electricity, all the metals, and other materials are not conductors, they don't conduct. So if you take a wire, you put a current, it comes out on the other side. If you take a piece of wood, current doesn't come out on the other side. So materials are either conductors or non-conductors. But in 1947, the first experiment showed that there are some materials which can behave like conductors and also non-conductors, depending on the situation. We call that semiconductor. All of you have heard of the semiconductor. So the semiconductor is the genesis of the digital age. So what does this mean? What does semiconductor have to do with it? Because the metal or material could be used as one or the other by changing some factors, we could imagine it's like an electric switch. It is either on or off. Very simple. It can be on or off. So if you put many switches together, many bulbs together, you put on and off, you can have different lights coming on and off. And that became the basis on which we said we can store information in semiconductors. It is either on or off. So if it's off, you can say it's 0. If it's on, you say it's 1. This is the genesis of the digital age, where we say that a device called the semiconductor and the transistor. Now, in the beginning, a transistor device used to be this big, but the radio we used to call it transistor in our days, right? It was not the transistor inside was a device. So from a transistor which was this side, today in this much you can have billions of transistors. Not hundreds, not billions. Billions and billions. Which means that in this little space you can store information by putting zeros and ones. So what happens all of a sudden is now the processing of information is happening in a very limited space. And you can now assume that this is your machine and you put some information in process and give you some other information. So you can now, in a factory, you had a machine, you put in 10 kilos of something, you get 10 kilos of something else, but you can't do it faster than so many kilos per hour. But in a transistor, you put in 100 bits, you get 100 bits, or 1,000 bits, or 10,000 bits in a fraction of a second. So you may say, okay, now the machine is replaced by the semiconductor. So humans have less of a role. But I want to make this essential point that the computer does not generate anything. The human mind gives an instruction. So the information goes from the human mind. And the human mind defines how it should be processed. We call that programming. And that device only calculates and gives the results. So after the industrial era, when there was raw material, machine, finished good, and the humans were out of it, all of a sudden we have a situation where the human mind is back in the center. This is the essential point. Each of you working here is getting information. So Professor Rai says कि वो वही वाला resume दे दिया, वो क्लास में रिवाइज कराते हैं सबको, तो रिवाइज करना पड़ता था कि भूल ना जाए. So the method of teaching, of course, changes, and that's the essential point he's making, and I'll come to that. But essential thing is the human mind, each one of you, each human mind is now at the center of life. You get information, and depending on what your motivation, your education, your skills are, you give some output. And this is the input and process and output equation, which in the digital world means that we have to understand how information is to be got, how it is to be processed, how it is to be translated. And I notice in your new curriculum that you are introducing, right in the first semester you are told about this capability. And in the second semester, first course is on ChatGPT. How many have heard, students, how many have heard of ChatGPT? many of you have used it? Okay, there's more who used it than have heard, which is strange. But anyway, many have heard. So ChatGPT, I will not go into detail, but it's a method to process all the material that all the languages possess. All languages. So when we say only two languages, we talk about Dogri and English. All the languages of the world, whatever has been written in them, now we are getting the computer to process all of them in one shot. You ask it a question, it will search for your answer all over the world for every matter written in every language. So now assume that you are the person who wants to think of an idea and you want to test it against the knowledge of the world and then develop your idea. The idea will not come to the world. The idea has to be yours. So your capability to create new ideas, create new thoughts, and I heard job creator, the word create jobs, is amplified by this new technology. But that comes later. So thing to remember is, the machine was at the center of man's preoccupation till the late 70s or 80s. And now the human mind is in the center. This is the essential point I want to make. So in our college days, we used to be taught that our population of the country is a liability. I think it's our biggest strength. And now we have, as you know, we've crossed even China, so the largest number of minds are in this country. And we're therefore most naturally prepared to become the leading nation of the world. All of you are also aware that in the last few years, from being the number 10 in terms of one factor, which is GDP or economic development, India has already come to number 4, and many people are predicting that in the third quarter of the century, India would very well become the number 1 in terms of GDP, but GDP is not enough. GDP is one of the factors. And somewhere in the 90s, I started talking about this fact that the mind is in the center. And I recall speaking at a place where I created this sentence, which I want to leave behind with you, which is that this is the century of the mind, the 21st century. And it is India's century because we have the largest number of minds. We didn't have it in 1990, but it was clear to many of us that our population, that's a natural phenomenon that happens country after country. China's population build-up is coming down. Ours is still going to go up for a while. So the largest number of minds are in this country, every one of you. Every one of you is a great potential contributor to not just GDP, but good things in life, and we'll talk about that. So you've heard of atoms, which are in manufacturing, all materials are atoms. Everybody knows that, kilogram of atoms. If you have kilogram of gold, you have many atoms. You've also heard about kilobytes of information, right? Children have all heard about it, students. And megabytes. One last thing I want to say about distillate when I get on to the successful. The number of atoms in this universe are limited. It's about 1.3 to 10 to the power of 50. Total number of atoms. And they are not increasing. The number of bits are increasing exponentially. All of you take pictures. Every picture you take is many million bits. And you're generating them all the time. And your mind is the source of all those bits. So atoms are limited in nature. Bits are not limited in nature. One atom of gold will cost you something that the atom will cost more and more. 1 million bits of information cost you something, and next year they'll cost you 1/10. So at a philosophical level, the world was dealing with scarcity. Today the world has an opportunity to deal with abundance, the mentality of abundance. Anyway, that's a long chapter in itself, but to me, our ability to give was limited because we had limited atoms. We've suddenly come into a place where we have abundance. So the philosophy of abundance, which actually goes back to our Indian philosophy. Because when I talk of success, I'll say success in making or giving. So India, this is India centric for many reasons. And I just want to say, every one of you is a mind which is generating billions of bits. You're consuming, you're improving, and you're generating. Hopefully you're improving. Some will make it worse, but most of the people will improve. So digital age therefore is important because you'll be dealing with bits. Bits are products of your mind. The value you create for society, not just the GDP. When you talk to somebody sweetly, or when you look at the poetry written so long ago, is now billions of bits which will go all over the world. You do good, you make good, you do many things, but you are entering into an era which your generation is inheriting as India is on its rise. Now, all of you have also heard of Digital India program, students. Very tentative. Please go back and Google that. Or better still, ask Chat GPT, write me a 300-word essay on the essence of Digital India. If you're lazy, you can do that. If you go to Google, it will give you 20 million hits, right? You won't know what to do with it. If you ask Chat GPT, I want to give a lecture, you can tell it, I want to give a 10-minute lecture on Digital India. It will give you the script. So this is processing all the languages of India and everything else and capturing and saying, this is what is Digital India. So the knowledge is at your fingertips. Now what you do with it is important, right? So the Digital India program, all of you read about G20, this time the world has realized that for the normal person of the country, the poorest of the poor, you are giving them bits. If you have a phone, you are transferring bits. If you open a bank account, you are giving them bits. If you are transferring money, you are giving them bits. They can give those bits to buy food. So Digital India is a very fundamental program. Now country after country is lining up to say, can we learn from India on how do you deal with digital to serve the population? All of you are going to be engaged in serving the population through the use of digital. So I hope I've made my point. If someone has questions, we can do it another time. First point. So in this era, how do we succeed? So first question, what is success? When I was your age, the only measure of success was how much money can I make. And it's perfectly okay to think like that. Many elders will tell you, "Paisa ke mat socho." Don't be carried away. But there's a condition. Think about what you want to make. But at the same time, in that same book, open a chapter on what will you do with it. Because if you don't think of it early on, which I've seen most of the world do, then you keep accumulating money. And that becomes a madness of its own. You hear about it all the time, right? You hear it, I don't have to tell you. People who are obsessed with taking and making money, if that is the only obsession they have, then at their deathbed, all their relatives are standing to say, "Remember, will me kya diya?" And they're waiting for you to die, so to give it quickly. Success has to be a combination of what you make and then what you give. And increasingly, if you see the Indian view of the fakir who owns nothing, he's got a higher status. He's given everything. But that doesn't appeal to young people, so I won't belabor it. But be busy, get busy making your wealth, but open this mind in your mind that what will you do with it? Because real appreciation will come to you from what you give, not what you get. People will be jealous about what you make, but will be grateful for what you give. So therefore, and the world only remembers those who give. Remember, the world only remembers those who give. So the mantra is now about how do each of you plan for your success. That's what you're here for, I presume. You may get disappointed because it's not easy, but I'll try. So what do you have to start with, each one of you? You may say, well, my dad doesn't give me enough money, he doesn't have enough wealth, so what can I do in life? So I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to say that what you have, what each one of us have, is a body, a mind, and a soul. We don't know where it is. We normally point to our heart because feeling, we think it comes from there. We don't know where it comes from. So body, mind and soul, each of you possesses. Anybody who doesn't have any one of these three wouldn't be here in this room. Right? So the question really is, what do I do with my body, mind and soul which can generate success? Is that the question? For everybody, young people, is that your question? Or no? Okay, I presume it is okay. So now, initially, this is your personal possession, your mind, body and soul. And I'll use for mind, body and soul, I'll say head, heart and hand. Hand is the active part. So now, what does the mind deal with? The mind deals with thoughts and ideas. The head. The heart deals with feelings. So thinking and feeling may sound they are similar, but they are two very different things. All we're educated in our school and college is about thinking. And now you start seeing a curriculum which says, start feeling a little bit as well. We are not taught how to deal with our emotions. We are not taught. किसी ज़माने में हमको moral science पढ़ाते थे, but soon it went off the curriculum because many things had to come into the curriculum, and I have only so many hours a day. So we are thoroughly undereducated on how to deal with feelings. And if there is anything the NEP should teach you, it is about how to deal with thoughts and feelings together. So incidentally, Professor Rai, Dr. Kasturi Rangan, who is the architect, is our chancellor of the university, but has been involved with me for a long time. And I keep telling him that we've been experimenting for the last 15 years many things at our university, and now you put it in the book. So please give us some credit. But nonetheless, the points which have been made, and Dinesh is doing so well, is all about combining these two with a third, which is what do you do with your hand? You take actions. So thought, feelings and actions. And I heard the NEP, if you see the NEP, it says practical experience. Get into the train, talk to people, taste their food, then think about what we need to do. And feel for those people. Feel happy, feel sad. So therefore, the mantra has to be around the head, the heart and the hand. That's also clear. Now I had to pick one word for it. There are many things which go on with each of these. So head, for example, head is curiosity, creativity, concentration. I'm just looking at three. I'll pick one out of these. And I'm going to pick curiosity for speaking a little bit. To me, the one thing which should be top in your own priority when you develop your head is curiosity. You talk about that. For the heart, we could talk of compassion, we could talk of courage, we could talk of commitment, and many other things. But I will pick one, and for me that is compassion. And for the hand, we can take communication, it's in your curriculum, collaboration, it's in your curriculum, and third is completion. That means executing something, finishing something which you started. And I'm noticing that your Vice Chancellor is busy finishing many things the others should have done before, starting with recognition of people, which I truly appreciate. That people have done something. Starting with emotion, dealing with emotion, getting a completion so everybody feels proud, because that's the starting point. I'll talk about that. So for the hand, I will take completion. So I'm going to be touching briefly on, for the head, what is it? Students have to answer, I'm now checking. What is it? Curiosity. Okay. For the heart, compassion. Okay. Good teachers go ahead, teachers go ahead. And for the hand, completion. Okay? So, a few minutes on each of these. So first of all, on curiosity. First, my observation. Every one of us is born equally curious. And by the time we come to class 12, all of us have lost it. Test this out when you go. Go to a school, kindergarten. Go to kindergarten class. And watch the teacher saying any question, each child, both hands are up. By class 5, one hand is up. By class 8, Very few hands are up. My class 10, when the teacher says to look the other side, they rake very hard. Everybody's experience? This is the one downside, very serious cost of schooling is that it suppresses, it doesn't kill our curiosity. It suppresses our curiosity. Now, when you go on the train and you go into a place you've never seen before and you find something smelling nice, you will say, kya hai? Or you see something very beautiful and say, how lovely this thing is. Or you hear someone singing music. It's a music to your ears and music. You engage your senses. So curiosity, we are all born with it. It all gets suppressed. So according to me, college can and should bring you back to your original level of curiosity. So when we talked of unlearning, learning and unlearning, empty out the stuff you don't need. Just revise करके exam में दे के भर दिया उसको पूरा. And then fill it with more questions. And so the question is how? Very easy to say, revive your curiosity. And my simple approach in life has been, ask a question. The question is the only tool to awaken your curiosity. Why is this smelling so nice? Why does it look so beautiful? Who is the person who made this? What is the background of the person who made it? So these questions in nursery, school or class 2, when you talk about the terrible tools for a child, or 3, age 3, the child is running after the mother, going on asking questions, saying, oh, shut up, possible. So the tool is a question. How often do you use it? Is in your hands. How often you use a question? Tell your mind to pose, bring a question. So since I have to give a few personal experiences, I'm making it theoretical, let me tell you my journey very briefly. So NIIT, I started working. I studied, by the way, in Jammu. I'm born in Jammu. I studied till class 7. Then my father was in the army, got posted to Auditorium, went to India school, went from there to IIT, and joined a job between 72 and 81. In 81, we set up NIIT. So the questions, what was the genesis of NIIT, people asked. And it was this, that when I was in HCL, the computer company, which was India's #1 company, I was in charge of planning. So we knew in 81 that computers are arriving all over the world, they'll arrive in India as well. And HCL was manufacturing computers. And as a person in charge of planning, we used to ask ourselves, how do we grow? How do we succeed? How do we become bigger? And the one question which was on my mind is, okay, many things will make it go big, but what will get in the way of it? What will hold back the growth of the computer industry? And almost invariably the answer was, there won't be people who can run computers. There is no talent. So we said, okay, this is a good idea. This is an idea worth pursuing. This is an unsolved problem. Unsolved problem. It's a new problem. Let's say, we hit up on the problem to say, well, this is the problem. So when you ask questions, you start becoming a problem seeker, not a solution seeker. The country has enough solution seekers. We want people who will seek out new problems. So for me, the new problem was talent. And we said, if you have to train people in computers, if there aren't any people, who will train? And we said, okay, we are engineers from IIT, we better use technology as a solution. Okay? But we need tens of thousands of people. We'll have to go to smaller towns. So we used to have Jammu centers also. So we said, a few of us can't spread ourselves thin and have layers and layers of managers, with the last manager, whether he's caring about the student or not, I don't know. So we said, we'll build a model where business people, young, bright people in small cities will want to become our partners, to do with the same passion, with the same concern, looking for potential people who can be brought into this field. And at peak, by year 1995, we had 2,000 locations in 40 countries, where young people came forward to join the go on with this, but at each stage we were trying to uncover a new problem and then think of innovative ways of solving the problem. So therefore, on curiosity, all I would say is that you have to keep asking questions. And there's a famous old saying, we don't have time to stop and stare toward that. So why does a rose smell so nice and something else doesn't smell? Go into a class and ask children, why is the sky blue? A bright set of children in class 7 will get excited, whereas college students say, why are you questioning? Why is the question? Because you lost the curiosity. So learn how to smell the flowers. I'm happy that this train is going to get people to see new things. What's going on here? It's a question. So taste the things you haven't tasted before. Stop and listen to the birds chirping. So fortunately at university we have 100 acres, university we have 1,000 acres hillock. Around we have decided to green it. Children haven't seen a bird nesting before. Bombay se one student sent a picture of bird nesting and sent it to his parents. No, कहाँ जंगल में है? University में क्यों नहीं है? University में. So essential thing is engage all your senses. God has given you senses. All of us have the same senses. Each sense will create a question. And then you won't be able to deal with the question. That's so many. That's the situation you want to get. Then you've gone from unlearning to learning. So when you think, you will have questions from this moment, but you'll also start getting questions about the past. I am very concerned that I don't know enough about my roots. And I was here in the same hall where we talked about history and I was talking now to say again we have to do some more better. Where do we come from? Where are we headed? Of course, the third question. But I'm here, I'm around here, I live in the present and ask as many questions as I can. Become a curious person. Become a curious person. And then you go back, ask curious questions about the past, and then become equipped to ask curious questions about the future, which is where your life is going to be spent. And if you have to be a thought leader, you heard this phrase, thought leader. The future belongs to thought leader because it's all about bits, right? It's all about minds. Machine leaders are useful. You can buy them out. So, to be a thought leader, clearly you have to think about the future. What are the problems of the future? So I read today that Jammu Kashmir state, UT, has got the highest number of digital services being offered to citizens. 1028. Services of the poorest of the poor of the India digital system, which you may or may not be using. Some you may use, DigiLocker you may use. Aadhaar, of course, many of you use. But every Indian, most Indians have a phone, you have a mobile phone, you have an identity, and you have a bank account. This is the raw material based on which your business idea will flourish. It's already happening with Digital India, so learn that. Because another thing which you may want to remember is the ONDC, which is the digital commerce, India's platform for digital commerce. If you want to start a business, you don't have to go to a shop. You can open a shop on the digital. This is the next big thing that is coming, the ONDC. Even if you want to build something with your knowledge of Dogri or English language, the opportunity for you, the platform is getting built with the digital platform. So now the question is, okay, you decide you want to do this. How do you make it happen? I'm only talk to one, I'll talk to the other two, but the mantra for me is basically what I call an appointment with myself. So how to do this? So how many of you have had an appointment with yourself? How many of you had an appointment with a doctor, dentist, chocolate eaters, eye doctor, elder people, lawyers with your problems? take appointment with somebody else, during which we are very seriously discussing something. So, if you form this habit of an appointment with yourself, very short, 5 to 10 minutes every day. Choose your time. My time is after sunset. For some people, it's early morning. Every clock is different. But this has to be done rigorously, during which you have to do something very simple. So you can sit and you are playing your whole day like you had a video tape. Morning this happened, this happened, this happened. Replay your day. Capture the moments which are exciting or boring or painful or difficult, where emotions were involved. And try and look at what happened. Then it's like you rewind the tape and see 2-3 times to see what exactly happened here. Your questions are getting formed now. What went well? What went badly? And you could say my one chapter is curious. Was I curious? You have a mechanism of 10 minutes a day. In my school where I studied, senior school, we had a tradition of, it's called Astachal, sunset every day, hill. You see the sunset every day. So it was timed every day, 10 minutes we had to sit quietly. After sports, have a bath, wear white kurta pajama, which is a uniform in the evenings, and sit in Astachal. And I think it has brought into many of us this tradition. I am proposing that you look at the appointment with yourself as the mechanism. So one word mantra will be there, but you have to compassion. So now you've activated the head, the new question. So let's get on to compassion. So compassion has the word passion in it. Passion you all understand. We have passion for many things. All of us are passionate people. What we love, we are passionate about. What we hate, we are passionate about as well. But most of the stuff is in the middle. We miss it. So passion is a driving force behind all success and happiness. I'm going to introduce a new term. Because success is equal to dollars and rupees or whatever currency you want. Okay, but happiness is what you seek. Now, Albert Einstein's quote I like very much. He said, I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious. I have no special talents. Most of the youngsters today say, I have no talent. Build this. Be passionately curious. And I recall when we talk of compassion, then is compassion for myself. Compassion is when other people are involved in the passion. If I am doing something which is not just good for me, but is good for the others. So compassion. And compassion, again, many stories all of you heard. You've heard of Gandhiji and Nehru. When Nehru said, Bapu, I'm going to be running this country, but 100 problems will come and 100 solutions will come. Which one will I choose? And apparently he told him, Jawahar, you have this problem in front of you, and you are thinking of a solution. Close your eyes. Think of the poorest person you have met and test that will this idea be good for that person or not. Easy test. And of course, the role model for compassion for all of us is Dalai Lama. If you haven't seen his videos, you should just get enthused to be compassionate. So from NIIT side, I would say that in 1992, we were 10 years old. We had many people coming to study and many couldn't afford. But we couldn't afford to give it free either. But 10 years, when we were 10 years old, we decided we would institute a scholarship. By that time, we started going all over the world. In the 90s, tens of thousands of students from China to India to Cape Town to everywhere got those scholarships and started building material. In 1999, we were asked by the Indian government to deal with digital divide. So in 26 states, over 10 years, we trained 10 million young children in government schools. We went into the government school, put up the computer center, put up the lab, catered the teacher, catered the worker, and so on. And again, if you're interested, students look at something called hole in the wall. It's a piece of research we did that what if there isn't even a teacher? What about those children? So we had a slum opposite our factory, we put a connected device, and children in groups we found can teach themselves. So hole in the wall for those who are interested, that has become the basis of the NIIT Foundation, which last year placed 50,000 school dropouts. 50,000 across the country. 1.3 million young children got some inputs. It's all for free. And then, so there are many examples, but what I'm saying is this, I'm more proud to talk about this than the market capitalization. But if we hadn't started building a basis to do this, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So therefore I'm saying second is to therefore drive yourself with curiosity and passion to get personal success. I'll say that, step one. Don't hesitate, be unabashedly. But then keep in mind that your success that's a personal success. If you want your friends, relatives, colleagues, society, community, college mates to feel good about it, till then they'll be feeling jealous about it. You want to flip it over, then you start making real things work. Because that is where the real joy of success comes. So, okay, now you've got curiosity from the head, you've got compassion from the heart, but these are useless unless you do something with that idea. And that's where the hand comes in. So, hand symbolizes action. So, how many of you wear Nike shoes or are aware of Nike shoes? Nike shoes? Their line is, just do it. Just do it. All of us come till this point and we can talk with great strength. But when it comes to picking up something from the ground, we'll wait for somebody to come and do it. So, just this is the thing about completion where I want to just give a couple of minutes and then I close. So, in completion, the central thing is whatever you start with the end in mind. I am doing this because at the end something has to come. We lose that focus very often. Right? Now, everything you want to do in the future, we have a goal, we have to break it into steps, and each step we have to do smaller and smaller steps, and every day we have to do 10 things, and therefore part of the mantra is a to-do list. When you're reflecting at the end of the day, kya hua, kya nahi hua, suddenly your pending list will come out in front of you. Make that list. Make it right. Make it on your phone if you want. I'm still a paper person, you'll see my notes. But wherever, but make it. So that is what is driving the action from day to day to day and hour to hour. And focus, therefore, is the goal. Now you have to do many things, you have to prioritize, you take the focus, and the story which still inspires me is Guru Dronacharya teaching Arjun and the bird on the tree. All of you heard it? There are 10 students and he asked, what do you see? He says, I see 1 tree, 2 tree, 3 tree. Goes to the next one. He says, what do you see? I see a tree with a lot of fruits and so on till he comes to Arjun. And Arjun says, I see the black spot in the middle of the pupil of the eye of the bird. It inspires me now. That whenever you're trying to solve a problem, you can't see the black dot in the pupil of the eye of the bird that you're trying to get, you will not achieve it. And this you have to do on time. Every time. The time doesn't wait for anyone. So prioritize, make your to-do list, prioritize, finish the day work. The day's work before you sleep. It's a mantra I follow, I have a checklist. I don't sleep till everything is ticked off. You can have peaceful sleep. Otherwise it will come in your dreams. Unfinished agenda ruins your dream. It gives you ulcers. It does all kinds of things. And in doing so, as you're doing these things, remember that you're making commitments to yourself. That's the to-do list. But you're making commitments to the others. To me, that's more important. So, do what you said you will do. I've done it in 5 minutes more than I should have. My apologies. But thanks to all of you. So remember, head, heart, hand. You do everything for that.
Please comment, like, share and subscribe to our channel for weekly content of poetry, music videos, artist interviews, roundtables and cultural dialogue.